We hear the words Trump effect, and we know it's a viral term, and we think, oh, well, well, they're saying it's Trump, they're saying it's Biden. Wait, what actually is happening is a Trump effect. We're going to talk about what the FDA just did. Also, we're going to talk about what one of the biggest iconic fast food restaurants just said, all in the name of what Trump is doing. Not only that, Biden's own State Department came out and said, if it wasn't for Trump, the deal probably wouldn't have happened. So isn't it amazing how Biden takes credit for it, but ultimately Trump secured the deal? We're going to talk about all of that. And then also we're going to talk about how the lowest generations, the lower generations than us, the millennials, so the Gen Zers, we're going to talk about what a report just came out and said that they actually have no skills. Now, is that something we should be offended by, or should we be upset that we are not teaching the generations what simple things are, simple skills are? All they know how to do is to work a technological device pretty easy. But when it comes to skills, you're going to be blown away at what they cannot do. And then lastly, we're going to discuss a warning to Christians. As a conservative Christian who wants freedom, and yes, there's great things happening in America, but across the world, there's two reasons that Christianity is getting persecuted. Those two reasons are what we have to make sure we heed a warning from, that we don't fall into the same trap. Let's dive into these stories and a few more. This video starts right now.
We got time on our side. We're in a state of hope. I need you on my fire.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. You see this pinkish hue on my face. It's not because of any lighting. That is the sunrise. It is an absolute beautiful morning as we start off this day. Now, before we start the day, I want to wish my wife a happy birthday. Today is her birthday, so please go over on her channel and just wish her happy birthday. Spam the comments. Go crazy. Just a happy birthday. She's a vital part of my life and, of course, our kids' life. We raise our family together, and it's nothing better than doing life with her. So wish her a happy birthday today, and I also want to stop and do that. Now let's jump into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about the Trump effect. Now, a few things. The deal with the Gaza situation. Now, Biden took credit. I want you to listen to what his own State Department just said. Trump's team was absolutely critical in the securing Israel-Hamas ceasefire deal. President Joe Biden's own State Department admitted that without the help of President-elect Donald Trump, this deal would probably not have been secured. It says when it comes to the involvement of President Trump, it was absolutely critical. Now that's from the words of the State Department that is run underneath the Biden White House right now. So that's a good thing. That's called the Trump effect. Now let's go to things that actually really impact us. RFK has been pushing for beef tallow in foods. Well, Steak and Shake just came out and said they will no longer use seed oils or hydrogenated oils. They're going to use beef tallow to do all their frying in. That's the Trump effect. FDA came out and they started banning the red color and the dye that's in a lot of these foods, these cereals, these snacks for your children. What's so funny is this dye was taken off the shelves and taken out of lipsticks and out of makeups years ago because of carcinogenic items. But then we allowed it to still be in our kids' food. Well, all of a sudden FDA is coming out and saying, well, it's carcinogenic. We need to get this off the shelves and ban it out of products. So the chemicals are starting to come out of our food. Trump effect. Now listen to this one. Now I'm not the biggest Mike Johnson fan. I told you that. And he's starting to decline and push back because, again, I think he's a weak individual. But I want you to listen to something that I thought was pretty good. Intel committee pivots after Mike Johnson removes pro-Ukraine, pro-deep state chairman. Speaker Mike Johnson removed the chairman of this committee because of the concerns that President Trump had. Now, it's amazing how Mike Johnson got a win right here, and then all of a sudden Mike Johnson came out and said, well, no, he did a great job. It wasn't because of Trump, it was just what we were doing, status quo. We need to change it out. But ultimately, the decision was made, and it was a concern of Trump that this gentleman who was serving on the Intel committee, who was pro-Ukraine, pro-administrative state, very rhino-ish, was kicked off. So I think that's, again, a Trump effect, something that is making a difference already before Trump is even in office. Now, Trump's cabinet has been before Senate this week. And another thing, I'm not even a Pam Bondi fan. She held her own, and I thought she did a phenomenal job with the Democrats. I thought Pete Hegseth took a lot of blows, as in they were just honing these attacks, but actually they came across as just catty and really ridiculous in some of their thought patterns. Like Hirono, did you see what she said? Some of the crazy things that she said. So it actually made him look better. I think that Besant yesterday made some pretty good ripples, but I thought it was good. He was saying tariffs are not going to be across the board, but they're used as a negotiating tool. I thought it was funny because someone asked him about the Treasury Department getting hacked, and he said, the Chinese hacked. They hacked into the Treasury Department. And he said, how they hacked? A work-from-home app that the Biden administration helped build. He said, so that was a lack of judgment. So all these people are throwing stones at these Trump appointees in these cabinet positions, and then when they turn the corner, and where it says, like, for instance, Pam Bondi, Schiff came out and said, we shouldn't be using the DOJ and the powers that be against political opponents. And she said, wait, that's exactly what you've been doing for the last 4 years. Actually, for the last 12 years when it comes to Trump. So they're actually standing up and not just taking the blows. I think that that's what Trump does when it comes to the effect of who he is. He is changing the status quo. Mike Pence, and this is again a good sign, Mike Pence comes out and says, we need to get rid of RFK. He does not need to be actually put in as HHS. And it's like, you know what? This is why you're no longer on the ticket. This is why no one likes you, Mike Pence. It's because you look like a fake, false rhino. People won't change. And this is what's happening. A ceasefire, the fact that beef tallow versus hydrogenated oil, that's small stuff. You're like, oh, that's not really impacting me, Colby. I don't go to this place to eat. I don't go to Steak and Shake and eat. Well, I don't either. But you're starting to see the difference in how someone can govern, all because of strength and power versus weakness. Biden tried to warn us that an oligarchy was going to take over America. At the same time, last week, he literally gave a medal of freedom or honor to George Soros, who is a billionaire oligarchy who is trying to impact elections all across the world, who is actually banned in several countries. Talking about oxymoron. It's ridiculous what he said. So we're seeing the fact of what Trump is doing in the implementation of his policies. This is a good sign. And I hope that we see a lot more of it. Now let's jump into Gen Z. And I blame our generations, especially like the boomers and Gen X. The children now, I want you to listen to this article. It says that the kids are not, all right, this is a Zero Hedge article. It says Gen Z admits that they do not even know how to change a light bulb. It said that over 30% of Gen Z could not tell you how to absolutely change a light bulb. I'm talking about screw-in light bulb here. We're going to go on with the report. It says new data shows that Gen Z struggle with the basic DIY task. They've never had to do it. It's always been done for them. So therefore, they don't know how to do the simplest of tasks. Oh, we fell in our generations. I want you to listen to how crazy this is. It says, this person continued in the article, it says, so much of their own lives have been automated, convenient, and outsourced to where we have made a weaker population, a dumber population when it comes to skill sets. Finally, in this report said the Post wrote that 30% of Gen Zers can't identify the difference in a flathead screwdriver and any other screwdriver like a Phillips head. Now think about that. It says shockingly 1 in 10 would call a pro just to hang a picture. So what have we done? We've actually hurt our generations, and we've made them maybe smart on technology. Like my kids can grab a remote and know exactly what they're wanting to watch on TV. But if we don't teach them skills, what are we doing? We're actually making a weak and almost a lazy population. My children, they know how to do things. My son knows how to milk cows. My son knows how to cut logs. My son knows how to do the basic necessities. The other day I asked him to jump off a car. We had a battery dead in one of our vehicles. He was able to do that. Now, is that not just kudos to him? No, there's a lot of other kids that could do those things too. But the sad part is, and the reality is that we've built a generation that does not even know how to change a light bulb. I mean, if we can't do the basic necessities, and I've done a stockpile and videos on this, the people that made it in the Depression, the people that made it in the hard times were the people that had skill sets to know what to do and how to do some of those things. My daughters are learning how to cook, how to make soap, how to do those things. For instance, Misty's video just yesterday, they were learning how herbal remedies work, and they were building our own little vitamin supplement capsules. They were understanding herbs. If we're not teaching those skills, how are they ever going to be better if the world does get harder like they're saying it will be? I laughed. My son, my youngest son, Jennings, for Christmas, he wanted a wheelbarrow and shovel. And I thought that was the funniest thing. And so now we have random piles of rocks all over our yard. But I think it's great that they're wanting to be outside and to do things that can teach them skills. Because we have failed these other generations, and now we've made a weaker population. And what that does is, what does that do? That actually makes people more reliant on the government or for someone else to do the job for them. It makes a dependent society. Heed that warning, because we want to teach our children the skills. We want them to understand value in learning skill set to be better, and also to get through maybe tougher times, how to cook, how to do the simplest of tasks. Even changing a light bulb. Last story I want to bring up is something that's pretty important to me and very personal. As a Christian conservative and as someone who desires freedom, who desires skill sets and to kind of be just left alone when it comes to taxes and overreach, this story really kind of hit me hard. And not only did it hit me hard, it made me thankful that America seems like they're having a pendulum swing. And I think we should be grateful for that, but not take it for granted, because that's actually what put us in the precarious spot that we were in before. Won't you listen to this story that just came out on Breitbart? It says nearly 400 million Christians persecuted globally, with Islam and communism as the main drivers. It says the Christian aid organization Open Doors published a list of severity, issues, and problems with how the church is facing perilous times. It says that there's dangerous places in the world for Christian faith even today. On Wednesday, at which it reported that 380 million Christians around the world are facing severe persecution. Christian persecution says any hostile action toward a person or community motivated to identify as a follower of Jesus Christ. Now you're thinking, well, that's happening in places like North Korea. Well, it is. It is. It's happening in other countries that are not close to us. But I want you to listen to this new report that just came out from London. London Council orders that staff not use the term Christian, to not use any kind of name and terminology that deals with Christianity because of inclusion. Now, we're seeing this more and more when it comes to areas in our world. We see a weakened, again, not to pick on Catholics, because I think a lot of them don't like the Pope they've got, but we have a Pope that's pushing for open borders. It's amazing, though, that they will persecute anyone who crosses into the Vatican, but he's saying we need open borders. So you're seeing a weakened church, and that weakened church is now making for these open border policies. And actually what's happening in the UK is now Christians are feeling persecution. They said that the movement of Islam and communism is holding Christians down, not only trying to keep them from talking about the name of Jesus, but it is actually starting to persecute them and put them in prison for standing up for their views. Now remember, this country, before Trump was elected, we've put people in jail for praying at abortion clinics. We've put people in jail for proclaiming God. Now, I'm glad to see that we're starting to make a pendulum swing, but we need to heed this warning so we don't get so comfortable into running into the same situation where we're allowing open door policies into America like UK has, and now has calls for their people in the UK to feel the pressure to not be able to claim their Christianity. It's happening more and more and more in areas that we would consider our allies. Australia, another place where they're feeling tons of persecution. You saw that especially in 2020, where they started really persecuting people going to churches in Australia. So we need to make sure that we're paying attention to this story. This is something that's not getting enough coverage. And what scares me is really a weakened ministry, a weakened minister not proclaiming God. Now here in our country, there's just a few ministers that I would say that are, threadbare, top notch, and they're willing to talk about the hard issues. Those ministers talking about the hard issues are what is going to impact us to be stronger as a nation, as a Christian nation, as someone who wants to see less persecution on the church. Make sure that even though we talk about the dependency of Gen Z and how we should do better in independence and skills, even though we hear good things coming out of the Trump effect, we cannot lose sight on the importance of keeping our faith first and foremost. Because what we're seeing is when people put it on the back burner, you start getting weakened societies, and then we fall into just chaos. And then what we do is we allow for things to come into our areas and persecution to come, and then we look up one day and say, how in the world did we get here? Well, how we got here was you elected the most liberal people in the UK to have open door policies to now allow for different groups of people that are not assimilating to your culture to now rule over your culture. Remember the story I talked about 2 days ago? There's a report that said UK could literally be completely Muslim. Germany could completely be Muslim because of what they've done with their immigration policies, if they so choose to be. Because he said the weakened population of the original UK people, or the original German people, he said could not actually stand up if all of a sudden Islam wanted to take over. Now that's scary. Now we talk about communism, yes, with North Korea and with China. Yes, there's places that's happening. But remember, communism is not spreading. We're not seeing immigration communists come over and making us a communist nation. And we're seeing more socialism, which is a fault for sure. But heed the warning that these other religions and these open door policies and the fact that we put our faith on the back burner actually can cause for the detriment of something that's so important to us, our faith, and I believe we're going to see more persecution because of it. I'm glad to see America is doing better, but we can never get laxed, because what that comfort and that lax actually means for a weakened society, and we'll fall back into the same problems we've had before. Guys, let me know your thoughts on these stories today. Again, not to rain on the parade. I think there's some great things happening with the Trump effect. I think there's some great things happening with the fact that America seems like it's on the path of a revitalization, or at least hopefully something like a revival. That's great. I love to see that people are calling out some of these liberals and these rightos for more conservative leaders. That's phenomenal. I'm hoping that the world sees that and they start doing the same thing. It looks like Germany's trying to. It looks like Romania is trying to stand against their people. It looks like Argentina's already done that. Those are good signs. Now, if we want to be the city on the hill, I think faith needs to be a part of it. But if America stays strong and we have this quote-unquote Trump effect and we start doing these kind of things and having leaders that lead, then we will change the world for the better. Let me know your thoughts on these stories. Remember, today, go wish my wife a happy birthday. It's her birthday today, and we're gonna go spend some time with her. Guys, have a wonderful day. God bless.